My choice may surprise some of you. I'm going to ask this opening to ask about the red string of fate. Well, since we're pretty much already on the topic, I might as well ask about it again, right? He might have apologized for his behavior in the library, but he still hasn't explained why he would react that way. Taking a deep breath, I let the question burning on my mind fall out of my mouth. As opposed to being asked, you just open your mouth and it's like... Blah, blah, blah. You still owe me an explanation for what happened in the library that time, you know. Why are you so bitter about our ability to see the strings? Why do you pretend they don't exist? The temperature in the room seems to drop rapidly and I shiver, strangely nervous. Luke doesn't react for a long moment and I was almost convinced that he didn't hear my question at all. Luke? Luke turns to me slowly, almost wearily, like an old man, his shoulders slumped as though he's bearing the weight of the world. There's a tired look on his face, rather than a taut expression of frustration as I had expected. I assume you've looked into the origins of the legend of the strings. As said, someone came up with a good idea to just call them strings and not red strings of fate, and it's working out a lot better. Yes, of course, everything I can get my hands on. Well, I expected as much. I don't know, I don't know where I'm going with that laughter. I've got something which is about 8 inches long that will reveal secrets. That's the best I can do, don't shoot me. He nods more to himself than as a response to me. I've just realised my cam's weird, you know. Ignore that. There we go. Disregard everything they say, they're all false. What? Stunned, I can only splutter in response. You should know by now, legends are just that, legends. Except, red string of fates do exist, unless we both share the same delusion. Strings are real. They are real, I never said they aren't. Now it's too wide. My life on a camera. Just don't believe everything else the legend says. We've already seen that the legends are wrong about how a red string of fate can stretch and tangle. Fuck, I keep calling them red strings of fucking fate, but never break. Aaron is living proof of that. That is the most fundamental part of this theory. If the legends are wrong about that, what else did they get wrong? I swallow hard, speechless, my stomach lurching in discomfort, and a fear that I don't quite understand. No, I don't like things being unclear. No, I like everything being black and white. Valerie right now, probably. What are you implying? If it's possible, Luke's expression looks even more weary and he rubs his eyes. I'm not implying anything. I don't know that much more about these strings than you do. I just have my own theories. What are your theories? Luke's lips press together so tightly that they almost turn white. They're just meaningless theories. You wouldn't believe them anyway. You're probably right. Clearly, he's reluctant to tell. As much as I am annoyed by how tight-lipped he is about all of this, I understand his aversion to talking about it. After a lifetime of hiding the secret from everyone, trying to appear as normal as possible, suddenly opening up about this can't be easy, especially given Luke's private, quiet personality. Alright, silence hangs between us, the tension thick and smothering. Finally, I sigh and Luke's eyes flick to mine before darting away. I'm sorry for getting sidetracked. Should we get back to our work? Did he say that we should just stop talking about it? No, okay, we just didn't want to press any further. Well, we pressed a little bit, and we got information out of him. Yay. We should. We need to finish our work before my grandma calls. I nod, blindly turning my blank eyes back to my books. What the hell does he mean by what he said? What does he know? What theories does he have? It looks like I have more research to do. I'm going to get to the bottom of this if it's the last thing I do. So, let me get this straight. He said, don't believe in the legends. They're not true. So you've gone to a library to look to see what the legends say. I'm not violently sold on your plan of action here. I drum my fingers against the table as I flip the page, taking in the lines of text as quickly as possible. The clock continues ticking loudly in the quiet library, its steady rhythm are almost hypnotic. An almost hypnotic spell trying to lure me to sleep. Feeling drowsy, my eyes start to close. I quickly shake my head and give my cheeks a light slap. No, I can't sleep at work. Just 2 more hours left and I can head back to my room and rest. Just 2 more hours left. And rest after finishing the 2,000-word essay due tomorrow that I haven't even started yet. Trying to stifle a yawn, I turn the page again, feeling a rush of disappointment at seeing the chapter of Red Strings of Fate end. Damn it, all these books in the library just talk about the same things over and over. She was actually doing that. That is just... Ugh. Ugh. 5 books, an entire shift of the library later, I've learned absolutely nothing new about the strings. Frustrated, I let my head fall onto the surface of the table face first, closing my eyes with a groan. Either Aaron or Luke come by. Damn you, Luke Hayden. Why can't you stop being so unforthcoming and just tell me what you know? Another heavy groan escapes me and I start hitting my head lightly against the desk. Val, you all right? Luke is here! That is a surprise! Huh? What? My head snaps so fast that I almost give myself whiplash and I see Luke standing in front of me trying to stifle an amused grin. Speak of the devil. Flustered, I return his smile, trying to smooth my hair and appear casual. Yep, sorry. What was that? Like, come on now. Oh, hey Luke, what are you doing here? His gaze falls briefly onto the pile of books and his arms, and I titter. Heat's now starting to rise in my cheeks. Great. Why do I always end up looking like a brainless, clumsy airhead in front of Luke? You said that, not me. He has a penchant, sorry, that's how you're supposed to say that word, for catching me at my worst moments somehow. Well, until he catches you in the bathroom, it can always be worse. Right, of course, this is a library. Of course you're here to borrow books. You want to check out these books? Just hand them over here. Luke heaves the books onto the counter, his lips curved into a slightly hesitant smile. Thanks, Val. I grab the book on the pile to scan the barcode, and the title of the second book of the cover catches my eye. The thing I don't quite understand is... what are you doing here about people who have been working in a place that the public come into really quite frequently that they'd have no business not being in? I never understood how that worked. Another one I seem to see a lot is working in a cafe and then being like, oh, how long have you been here? Why are you here? It's like they wanted coffee and you happen to be a barista. I'm not sure what you want him to say. I fail to bite back a giggle. Luke looks very confused for a moment before realization dawns on him, and in a swift moment he removes 3 books from the pile and holds them behind his back. My giggle turns into a full-blown laughter at Luke's mortified expression. I didn't expect you to have this kind of taste in books. These are for an essay for class. I have to write on women's sexuality and literature. I don't usually read these for fun. Is that a stutter I detected in his voice? Is that a faint blush on his cheeks? Yes, exactly. How else to progress a character without making them a stumbling, bumbling, red-faced, blushing machine? Grinning in amusement, I can't resist teasing him. It's all right, your secret is safe with me. Luke doesn't respond, the colour on his cheeks darkening as his eyes dart away from mine. Taking pity on him, I keep my remaining teasing comments to myself and return to my task of checking books out for him. There's a prolonged silence as I work, neither of us starting a conversation. Once again, we're back to the awkward silence stage after our last conversation about strings. Not even about it this time! He's just come to fucking check out some books. He's shy. I actually sympathise with him here. It appears that every time we talk about strings, this is the outcome, the tentative friendship we've struck up disappearing into thin air. Ironic, considering it's one connection we undoubtedly share with each other and no one else. One would think it would bring us closer together than... we're further apart! I peek up at him and he seems to be shifting his weight back and forth, his gaze on the windows. I clear my throat, deciding to make some small talk to try and make amends yet again. So, what class is it? What? Noting Luke's confusion, I elaborate. What class do you have to read those books for? Speaking of which, you need to give them to me or else I can't check them out for you. Slowly, with clear reluctance, Luke returns the books to their original position on the pile, and his reply is so soft that I can barely hear him. Gender, sexuality, and literature. Are those things you can do in university? gender, sexuality, and literature? I mean, one of those seems like a real subject. The other two seem like a mix of biology and psychology, depending on how we're going with it. Depends on if we mean sexuality to mean the same thing as it does gender, or are we talking about the other kind? Right, that makes sense then. When is the essay due? This Friday. I pull a sympathetic face, pausing to type in the serial number of the book in this computer since the barcode scanner decides to malfunction as usual. I reach for the new book, unable to resist peeking at the name again. W.H. Auden, huh? Which is your favourite poem of his? Oh, fuck off. I hate people who ask that. What is your favourite poem of someone? Just fucking die. I'm trying to think... See, I get asked this occasionally. And I'm pretty sure my answer is C.J. Lewis, but I'm pretty sure he's not a real fucking author. It's T.S. Eliot and someone else. And I always say... It's C.S. Lewis, isn't it? C.S. Lewis? I'm pretty sure I know who this guy is. Yeah, this dude. Yeah, novelist and a poet, that's the one. So if you're ever actually asked who's your favourite author or something, and you want to, you know, be a bit of a twat and probably say someone who's not obvious, just say T.S. Eliot or C.S. Lewis. Easy, there you go. And that concludes ChrisTenarium's poetry and literature advice. Boring, but still better than this game. Luke straightens and a glint enters his eyes. Funeral Blues. Do you know that poem? Funeral Blues. Oh, come on. It sounds like one of, like, fucking, John Coltrane's bad songs. I scrunch up my face, making a wild grasp with a vague memory fitting at the edge of my mind. Is it the one that starts with Stop All the Clocks or something like that? Oh! Oh, I know what that one is. Fucking everyone knows what that one is, don't they? Stop all the clocks. If it is that one, Luke's face brightens and he gives an enthusiastic nod. He seems impressed by my knowledge and there's new warmth in his eyes, and he regards me with an appreciative stare. I know that poem, I just didn't know its name. I mean, again though, this isn't me bragging, this is me saying I think everyone knows that one. Just like that, our easy friendship has returned and I find myself relaxing. That's not how friendship... It doesn't come and go. A couple can have an argument. They don't cease to be a couple throughout the period of the fucking argument. Right. I remember that from my literature class in high school. It's quite sweet but sad love poem, isn't it? It's not a love poem. Well, not really. Do you know that the poem was originally a satirical piece in a play? Really? I didn't know that. Well, I mean, let's not even go there. He later changed it to be less satirical, but to be honest, the sarcastic tone still remains. Well, it depends how you interpret it. Everything can be seen to be like that if you try hard enough. On the surface, it is a dramatic love poem, but there's a second, wildly different analysis. Almost excitedly, Luke grabs his book and flips it open to the page where the poem in question is printed. He points to the page and I follow his gaze. Look. See how perfectly structured the poem is? Almost overly so for a poem about a hysterical lover mourning over the partner's death. Perfect rhyming couplets, quatrain, iambic pentameter. Okay, you've lost me there. The thing is you can choose to define it however on earth you want. Just, you're probably wrong. I remember once that they got Ray Bradbury in to talk... It's always my example I go to. They once got Ray Bradbury in to talk about Fahrenheit 451, I think the book is, just to tell him that, no, the meaning you thought the book gave was wrong. It's actually this. And it's just like, you're telling the author that his given message in his book is wrong and it actually means something else. Like, come on now. I think he probably knew what he was doing when he was writing it. The poem is littered with hyperboles to the point where it feels like he's mocking the melodramatic analogies that people use to describe their mourning for lost love. For example, this line. Luke's sentence trails off suddenly and there's a visible flush in his cheek as he closes the book. I'm sorry, I got carried away. I studied him, fascinated by the abrupt change in his demeanour. I've never seen him as animated as when he was talking about that poem. Clearly he's passionate about what he studies and he's in his element when it comes to literature. Yeah, I didn't read any of the last 2 lines. Well, I wasn't thinking about them anyway. No, it's intriguing. I've never thought of the poem that way before and I'd love to hear more. Well, this is one of the possible readings of the poem. It's up to the readers to interpret it, of course. And you prefer this analysis? Luke nods, raising his gaze to mine. You, which do you prefer? To suggest that it doesn't matter would be an understatement, but that's not what literature is about. So that would be my bad for suggesting it, because it's definitely wrong. I don't know. I've always known it for the romantic interpretation of it. I don't know. I'll have a fucking think about it and then do it next episode. Spoiler alert, it's going to be the romantic one.